It was it was fragmented, and it was difficult for me to put it all together into one package that this all makes sense. Yeah, he talked about his concerns of people looking for him to bring him back, and that he had photographs of the kills he had done. He had photographs of the extraterrestrial activities there at the lab, and those were insurance for him that he wouldn't be killed. He said that he was concerned for his life because 3 out of 5 of his group had died in the most recent weeks before he went AWOL, mysterious conditions.
They offered money to deliver the stash.
How many days along was that?
That was about the 5th or 6th day. And he said, don't let the dollars blind you. He said, you'll never spend them anyway. If we give them the stash and they get the money, you may see the money, you may have it in your hands, but you'll never live to spend any of it. And they'll take it all back. It doesn't cost them anything. They can provide the money to close the deal, and then that's the end of it. So we took his advice and ignored the money, and then they started making other offers about how they could forgive his misdeeds and things like that, and then that we would be safe and all that sort of thing, as long as he went back to San Diego. They kept wanting him to go home, is what they called it, the San Diego Marine Base out there. It shows the delta symbol pointed up, which means it's cool again. It also shows they had succeeded in 2 other intercepts. What are we going to do now, the question was. And offering dollars, $100,000. It says they want all the stashes and no foul play, or the delta symbol was turned down, which Conrad said means termination, and it shows 3 figures, Conrad, Ryan, Jim Cox, and myself, in a circle with crosshairs through the circle. Now this is getting scary. The $100,000 threat was tantalizing. Connor said that they would have the money and they would actually pay it, but we'd never spend it because we'd die before we could spend the first dollar of it. Noon, had dinner with Jim Dilettoso at a restaurant, came home, went to bed in one of the outbuildings that Jim had in his ranch there, a separate small outbuilding, and Jim woke up in the night paralyzed. He couldn't move. But his eyes were open enough so he could see down his torso like that through the slit in his eyes. He couldn't open them anymore, and he couldn't move at all. He was breathing okay, but he was afraid that something might happen to his breathing too. But when he looked down at his torso, he saw the feet of a ninja, black feet with black socks, heavy black socks, and a black tight-fitting garment like underwear. All the way up to a AK-47 pointed at his head. And he heard he saw another one standing on Connor's bed, standing on the bed, straddling his feet. And there was another one standing on Connor's bed with a AK-47 pointed at his head, straddling him too. And there was a man in the room in a suit, an older man in a suit, and he was going through Connor's little kit, just a little, like a shaving kit with materials, extra materials in it. He found a piece of paper in there, he unfolded it, looked at it, crumpled it, threw it over some fuck or something like that. Jim heard it hit the door and fall on the floor, and he took another paper out, tried to, looked at it, crumpled it, threw it aside also. And Jim lost consciousness. He doesn't know when they left. He doesn't know how they got in. He doesn't know how they got paralyzed or anything. Connor later told him that they have a gas they can put in around a window for him that makes them, it paralyzes them, and they can then let themselves into the room and do what they want for as long as, I think he said they could do this for about 20 or 30 minutes before the gas began to wear off. They both went back to sleep and didn't wake up until late the next morning.
Did Connor O'Ryan say what he thought they were looking for?
No, he didn't have any idea what they were looking for.
And did he explain why he thought they weren't killed or done harm at that point?
He said as long as they don't have the last stash, we're safe.
When Jim and Derek Hennessy, Connor O'Ryan, were staying at your place and out in the bungalow, they had an encounter, they said, during the night, the first night they were visiting with you. What did you learn of that encounter?
Nothing.
They never told you a thing about that?
No.
Okay.
None of these were dated. This is an original. It says, situation extreme. Please be patient. Three stick figures, $signs. No TV. Don't tell the television station. Working on deal. You have 7 days to produce pack or a Delta 6 signal for termination without prejudice. We want GWI to come home, GW1 to come home. Ghostwalker 1, that's the man that was visiting us.
That Ghostwalker
1
is Connor O'Ryan.
That's Connor O'Ryan. That's his CIA code name, Ghostwalker 1. And it said, we'll call again, thanks. And they never called. So then, later in the day, they found another note pinched in the door of Jim's car to go to a motel, a certain motel in downtown Scottsdale. And they would contact them there. Here's one of the original messages. Came on notebook paper from my house. And this was lettered in blue ink.
That says...
Says, we'll meet. Situation extreme. Motel 6, Scottsdale. This is the one that was pinched in the door of Jim's car up in Scottsdale at Dilettoso's house the day after they were gassed. So they went to the motel and they rented a room, and the desk clerk had a key on his desk, and he handed it to him. Jim looked at it and says, that's the wrong number. I'm a numerologist, said, that number doesn't fit. Give me another room. And the clerk didn't want to give him another room, but he finally found him another key and gave it to him. So they went to the room and checked it, and it looked nice and clean and everything, like nothing amiss. So they went to a store, I think it was Walgreens, and bought peanut cans of peanuts. And they popped the lids off and put them in a crack along the top of the door, so that if anybody tried to introduce anything in there, would knock one of the lids down and make a racket and wake them up. Then one of the lids came down in the middle of the night, and they also bought proximity detectors for outside lights. If you get close enough to them, they pick up the body heat or something, infrared, and they put one inside the door facing the door, and it came on in the middle of the night when the lid dropped, or the lid dropped right after the light came on. So they knew there was somebody outside the door. They tried to be quiet, not make any noise in there until they thought they were reasonably gone. There was nothing going on and no sound at the door. They opened it and looked out and there was nobody there, but they knew somebody had been there. They could have introduced the gas and paralyzed them again, but I guess they had to get inside first. And they may even have had a key in getting ready to put them to sleep with the gas and do whatever they thought they were going to do.
So they never were formally contacted then?
Yeah, there was another note put in his car outside the hotel too. This is just receipt for the Motel 6 in Scottsdale. This is the one that was interesting. The delta symbol is up, meaning it's cool. 100,000 within 48 hours for location. No foul play or termination with prejudice. And the number 7 was also redrawn from the original, which I don't have anymore. I don't know what happened to them.